Okay, so I decided to go ahead and do a part two and show you guys how to reassemble the Puff Glow once you've recharged it, and I'll show you the process in refilling it. So as you can see here, it's on my little homemade charger. It's a micro USB where I cut the end and I strip the red and a black only, and you just screw it to these little alligator clips. You could get these at AutoZone to like $2 or $3 for a pack of them. Pretty simple process. You could take any micro USB cable and do this, and it should work well. Anyways, so you connect black to the black end on the stick, red to the red end, and just a few minutes charged is sufficient. It's a very small battery, and you just want to charge it enough to last you through the quantity of juice you're going to put in the device. It's better to undercharge it than to overcharge it. These batteries don't require a lot of charging. You don't want to be having this on there for like, 20-30 minutes. It'll overheat and possibly be quite dangerous. So better safe than sorry. Always use safe practice. Once that's charged and you feel it's sufficiently charged, you can take it with your fingers and shove the sides back in. And at this point, you'll be able to see that the center part, the rubber boot, is really down in there because I shoved it down with my little WD-40 straw there. It's cleaned, by the way. Don't use a used WD-40 straw. And I shoved it down there so that this would protrude out enough for me to charge it without, breaking the wires. I mean, some people can pull it, very gently without breaking the wires, but I haven't had the best of luck with that. It's easier for me to push it down and then push it back. So once that's done, push it in. Take your WD-40 straw, and I recommend the straw, one, because it's not metal. You don't want to accidentally arc between these two, and two, it's soft enough to not puncture the battery, but rigid enough to get the job done. Stick it in the center, push it down in enough to where the tube is where it would normally seat. A little bit more would be sufficient, I think. There we go. Now that that's in, you want to set this piece back in there how it came. Push it in. Okay. Now you're going to reassemble your little light tubes, okay, the way that they came out. You're gonna slide one end in the side rail, just push it in, gentle, don't be aggressive, and just set it into place just how it came apart. Do the same on the opposite side. Simple, gentle, just slide the light tube in there, push it in, gentle, rest it into place. Make sure it's seated in its little spot, because the light needs to travel through it, so you want it to seat properly. Okay, once that's pushed in, reinsert your cap. The puff should also fish the puff. Okay, push that in all the way in. Now that that's in, you have your tube at the top. You'll want to just stick your pick in and recenter it. Make sure it's centered correctly. Just had to give it a little double look here. Yeah. If you feel it's cocked to one side, just push it lightly, gently on the opposite side to center it. Now that that's centered, you're going to want to insert your cotton sleeve. This retains all your juice for you. I wash all of these components, the filter, the pad. I do it for hygienic purposes. Also gives it the best flavor, especially if you're changing over to a new flavor. That's the cool thing about this too. By doing this, you can introduce flavors that the line doesn't normally introduce, and it allows you to maximize, your usage from the product. It's more environmentally conscious this way, and yeah. So gently insert this in. Make sure it's centered on it. If you have trouble doing that, just stick your pick toward the center and just use it as a guide. And gently insert your tool. Take your little straw, just tamp it down in there, to push it to where it's down enough to where it's about flush with the center part. At this point, you can now introduce your juice. I like to put 1 drop down the center just to get it started, you know, just to introduce fluid into the center coil. That way it doesn't like dry hit the first time. And then I just use my little pick to poke that fluid down in there. Now you'll take your fluid and add about 2 drops at a time until this cotton is fairly saturated. So I do 2 drops, 2 drops, give it a chance to absorb, 2 drops, 2 drops, then a drop on the center part. I just want to get a good even coating all around in there. So let me try to get a good even coating. Okay. Get it pretty saturated in there. You don't want to overdo it, because then it's just going to be messy and really aggressive when you first hit it. You just want it, you know, like the consistency of a damp sponge, I guess. Don't want to way overdo it, you know. This Puff Bar holds, I think, more capacity than the original Puff Bar. I think because of this elliptical shape, and obviously there's a lot more surface area on this cotton, so it holds a little bit more juice. I think it's 1.3 ml, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Anyway, I think I'm satisfied with the saturation of this, so I'm gonna cap it off. Okay, I'm gonna introduce the thick filter first. Oh, actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. No, you need to put the rubber boot first. Simple, line it up in there. Just line it up in the hole, then push it in. Take your tool, just work it both sides until it's flat with the surface of the cotton. Once it's in there and centered in that hole, you know, just poke the fluid through, make sure that that port is clean. Okay. Now take your thick of the pad, the thicker of the two or wider of the two, insert that, just push it down in there. Take your second one, install it in the mouthpiece, make sure it's centered, reinsert your mouthpiece, and push firm. Just push it in firm, hard. If you're having trouble, just, you know, put it on object. Now, this part I like to do for sanitary reasons. I take 91 isopropyl alcohol. I just pour a little on a paper towel, and I sanitize the mouthpiece, and I just go ahead and clean up the bar. You know, just give it a good clean. In my previous one, I explained this magnet I added so that I can clip it to my belt buckle when I'm not using it. Or you could put it on a keychain, whatever. You just use a Gorilla Super Glue neodymium magnet you can get at Home Depot. Cheap. If you're gonna reuse your bar several times, I recommend doing it. That way you don't lose it. You can clip it to virtually anything metal. And now that that's clean and sanitized, working like a champ. And there you have it. That's how you rebuild these. And hope you learned something new, and I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. So thanks for the watch.